From The Places We Call Home, Part 2.
We'd missed my tia Gloria's wedding, which she'd had on a hillside in Boqueta. She told my mom that she'd convinced her new husband, Esteban, to dance, and that therefore the whole event was a success. We had my aunt on speakerphone, and my mom had said, "Take it from me, Hermanita. They dance at the wedding, and then they never do it again." My dad had said, "That's what you think," and clutched my mom by the wrist, sending her into a small spin in the middle of the kitchen. She squealed with delight while he swayed with her for a few beats, and then he broke out into some goofy merengue moves, kicking his leg up at the end and shouting, "Ole!" My aunt started yelling through the phone, "Are you still there? Celia! Raphael!" And my parents laughed until my mom dabbed the corners of her eyes with the back of her hand. I'd never seen them so happy with each other, even though it was just for those few seconds. We almost went back for my dad's high school reunion, which my dad somehow got into his head that he didn't want to miss. The reunion was on a Friday, so maybe, he told us, he could fix his work schedule so that he was off on Friday. We could fly there, go to the reunion, and then fly back Saturday night. He was usually off on Sundays, but if he took off Friday instead, he'd have to be back and work Sunday to make up for it. So one night would be the longest we could stay, but one night would be enough. He had decided, and it looked like we were going to try. My mom was as excited about the trip as I don't know what. She went to Sears to buy a new dress, and had giddy phone conversations with my aunt about seeing each other again, and what they would be able to pack into our 18 hours on the ground. She started laying out her clothes weeks in advance, even though my dad kept telling her she only needed 2 outfits, one to go and one to come home. "And why do you have 10 pairs of shoes here?" he asked, pointing to the sandals and leather high heels my mom had lined up along the baseboard in the bedroom. "10?" my mom scoffed. "I don't even own 10 pairs of shoes." My father counted them. "Fine, 7. That's still 6 too many." He told her that he intended to take only a duffel bag for our things because that would make it easier to get through customs. My mom said, "I'll check my own bag then." My dad kicked the row of shoes my mom had lined up and sent them flying into the wall. He walked right up to my mom and held his index finger in front of her face. "1 bag, Celia. 1. For all 4 of us. Don't talk to me about it again." A few weeks before the reunion, my dad called the number on the invitation to RSVP. The guy who answered had been the class president. He and my dad joked around for a minute, and then my dad told the guy we were coming. According to what my dad told us later, the guy said, "We'll roll out the red carpet then." When my dad asked him what he meant by that, the guy said that my dad would have to forgive him if the party wasn't up to my dad's standards. "We didn't know the gringo royalty was coming. We'll have to get their place repainted before you arrive." When my dad asked again what the guy was talking about, the guy said he hoped my dad didn't expect them all to kiss his feet now, and reminded my dad how humble Panama was. It didn't take long for my dad to slam the phone down. He stormed over to my mom, who was washing dishes, and said, "We're not going. If that's what they think, then we're not going." My mom said, "What?" "They think we're Americans now, and maybe we are. Maybe we don't belong there anymore after all." My dad went out on the balcony, which he did whenever he was really upset. My mom stood in the kitchen, a soapy pot in her hand, and looked at me, baffled. "What just happened?" she asked. When I told her everything I'd been able to gather, she walked out to the balcony and closed the door behind her. At the commotion, Enrique came out of his room. "We're not going anymore," I told him. "Huh? On the trip? Are you serious?" Enrique asked. My brother and I huddled together, listening through the front door. I heard my mom say, "Please, Rafa, he doesn't know anything about us. We can still go. You'll see. Once we get there, all your friends, and everyone will love you." I imagined her reaching out to touch his shoulder, the way she did sometimes when she was asking for something. "Don't you miss it?" she asked. Can't you imagine landing there? Being there again? You know how it smells? The air there. And seeing everyone again. Please, Rafa. But my dad wasn't swayed.